Okay, so this is the last presentation of the day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sharing my screen for the second presentation. In my today's presentation, I'm going to compare the character of Pamela with one of the character of a Bollywood movie. So my today's topic is Richardson's Pamela and the selected Bollywood character and study between them. This is my information, and we will start with the storyline of the Pamela novel. The Pamela, or a Virtue Rewarded, is an 18th century epistolary novel by Samuel Richardson. The story is about a 15-year-old poor girl of a poor family who is working as a servant. She is an economically independent girl. After the death of a Lady B, his son, Mr. B, makes unwanted and inappropriate advances, tries to have a sexual assault on Pamela. The Pamela has a physical and mental trauma. Yet, in the second part of the novel, we see that Pamela is attracted towards Mr. B because of some sympathetic and changed behavior, and she gets married to him. In today's presentation, we are going to answer the question that if Pamela would not marry to Mr. B, would her dignity will be questioned in the society? Okay, so first we will talk about the behavior of Mr. B towards Pamela and the efforts done by the Pamela to safeguard herself from Mr. B. Mr. B attempted to seduce Pamela several times, but and she rejected it by fleeing and locking herself in the bedroom. Once she got fainted, and when she awoke, she found that the lace of the stay were cut. And again, once Mr. B attempted the way that he hid himself in the Pamela's closet, and when Pamela was undressing herself for the bed, he tried to kiss her. She decided to leave the place of Mr. B to safeguard her own innocence, but she was demanded to stay there at the estate to finish the embroidering work of a waistcoat of Mr. B. Pamela stayed there with a hope that Mr. B will allow to go her in a good terms. Mr. B paid Pamela to not to talk about or not to open about the failed seduction secret of Mr. B. But Pamela confined it to the Mrs. Jervis. Mrs. Jervis is a servant working in Mr. B's house. Getting angry on Pamela, Mr. B intends to marry Pamela with Mr. Williams. And uh, so that the parents gives consent for the marriage of Pamela with Mr. B, with Mr. William, Mr. B is paying to her parents. Mr. B intercepts her letters to her parents and lies about the affair of Pamela, and is ask and is giving taking an authority to take Pamela to a safer place where her innocence will be preserved, and she is forcibly taken to Mr. B's Lincolnshire estate. What were the Pamela's efforts to get out of this assault? What she did, Mr. William tried to help Pamela. Mr. William proposed Pamela for the marriage and asked marriage so that she can get escape from the estate and Mr. B's advances. Pamela also tried to flee to his parents' house, but she was terrified by the two cows which she mistaken as bullocks. Mr. Williams gets arrested by Mr. B and announces to marry Pamela with one of his servants. And to not to get married, Pamela climbs the wall but she gets injured, and in one try she gives up. But we see that in the end of the novel, in spite Pamela was trying to get away from Mr. B, she is getting married to Mr. B. Later, it was also found that Mr. B had a daughter with one another mistress. Now we will discuss a selected Bollywood character and how she is facing the situations of domestic violence and what are her efforts to come out from that situation. The selected movie character is Amrita from the movie Thappad, directed by Anubhav Sinha. What happened in this movie? Amrita was a woman who was serving as a wife dutifully. She made a peace in his unending routine. She could have done something else if she would have not got married. She could have become a professional dancer, which was also the dream of Amrita's father. But in the present time in situation when she is married, she was taking a peaceful time in the morning slot for herself, having a tea of herb and having a deep breath on the terrace. It was her personal time. Then what happens with her that Amrita's husband Vikram slaps her unthinkably in the party in the front of the guests and family members. She was slapped only because she was trying to break the argument of Vikram with one of his colleagues. Later, when Vikram was explaining to Amrita that he was so much tensed due to the tensed because he got issues in the company, and the issue was that he didn't got a post in the company he wished for, and for what he was who was completely devoted emotionally to the company. एंड बट द आर्ग्यूमेंट प्लेस्ड बाय अमृता वाज तुम अपनी कंपनी में इतना इमोशनली डूबे हुए थे कि आगे नहीं बढ़ सके. मैंने तो अपनी पूरी लाइफ इन्वेस्ट की है तुम्हारे साथ, कैसे आगे बढ़ूं? एंड इट वाज अ नाइस क्वेश्चन. There was some greed by Vikram for the emotional depth in company, while Amrita is not having any greed for living with Vikram. She is with him because of love and marriage note. After this incident happened that she got slapped from her husband, no one in the family tried to talk with Amrita or console him, or no one even talked to Vikram that what he did was wrong. No one questioned to Vikram for the deed. But but everyone expected Amrita that she should work in a routine as she normally works. But at the end she decides to divorce and end this marriage. This was the step taken by Amrita to take divorce from this marriage. In this movie we see insensitive nature of a man when the husband tries to explain to Amrita that shit happens, people moves on. He was not ready to say that it was his mistake. He says people move on. When Amrita is deciding to take divorce, what type of social barriers she is facing? The main barrier is the socio-cultural construction done in the women, and especially to the women when she gets ready to take a divorce or end a marriage relationship. The mother, being a woman, cannot support because of the socio-cultural construction in their mindset. And the barrier that Amrita had to cross was her own family members, especially to mother. The mother was explaining her the importance about the रिश्ते निभाना, वही तुम्हारा घर है. These dialogues are repeatedly heard in the society in present time. After arranged marriage, Maika is no longer a house for a girl, a home for a girl. Even when the Vikram is going to a lawyer so that he can win the case, that he has not done any domestic violence, while slap is a domestic violent act. The lawyer said, lawyer is a well-educated person, and he said that थोड़ी बहुत मारपीट तो expression of love ही होता है ना sir. Is beating and domestic violence is expression of love by a male on a female. This is a construction given to the man that you have a right. Wife is a part of life. Wife is not a submissive of the husband. This ideology is not present in the man. That is also a socio-cultural construction. But Amrita is standing on her point, and he is not taking back his idea of divorce even after the family is not supporting. Society is going to question her character also. When Amrita is going to a lawyer, she is telling that I don't want any alimony. My only petition is that it was a slap, but it should not happen. Just a slap पर मार नहीं सकता. This is only the petition by Amrita. When lawyer asked what happened if he slapped you, it happens in every house. Then the Amrita said that उस एक थप्पड़ से मुझे वो सारी अनफेयर चीजें साफ साफ दिखने लग गई जिसको मैं अनदेखा करके मूव ऑन करते जा रही थी. This clearly says that she was facing a somewhere domestic violence, not in a physical way, but in mental way. She was facing, but she was moving on. But when she was slapped, she was able to see that she has suffered a lot even after loving this family in a dutiful way. In the end of the movie, we see that Amrita is pregnant with the child of his husband. But still, she is standing on the point that she wants a divorce and wants to get out of this toxic relationship. Now, we will compare the character of Pamela and Amrita. Pamela was assaulted physically and mentally by Mr. B, and she went through a trauma. But only the one sympathetic act from Mr. B, and she was ready to get married. While Amrita stands strong against whole society, Vikram is not, we can see that perhaps he is not a bad man, but only one act that he slept to his wife in front of the guest, and which hurted the self-respect of Amrita. And Amrita was ready to leave the relationship, leave the marriage note only for the self-respect. Only a one act slap, and she was ready to complete the relationship in spite of having other lovely happy life. And while Pamela, one sympathetic act, and she was ready to get married. Here we also see that Pamela was a working woman. She was a maid, she was earning, and she was financially independent, while Amrita was not financially independent. For as she had a hobby of dancing, she was going to teach a dance to a little girl in a neighbor, but she was not earning. But yet she was ready to take a divorce. The question was going to be there on her character also. A pregnant lady getting divorced, the question is always asked on the character of a lady, not on the character of a man or a male. But she was ready to face society, while Pamela, she might have hurt the dignity in the society. Her character might be questioned that he was kept by Mr. B and assaulted, molested for this many years. Then it might happen that no other male or man would get ready to marry Pamela. And it can happen. We interpret that Pamela was afraid of this thing and she got married to Mr. B. And marrying to Mr. B also gave a status to him, a status to her in upper class society. Here we question that yes, if Pamela would have not married, we answer the question that if Pamela would have not married, the dignity would be hurted, a dignity of Pamela would be questioned. Amrita would be facing the same, but for the self-respect, Amrita was ready to face the society, but she was not ready to place aside her own self-respect. By the study of Pamela's character, we realize that women is a prison of domestic walls. What are the domestic walls? The cultivation which is given to women. Women are always taught that you have to safeguard the relationship. You have to work in this way. It is said that always do what others like. The women is always cultivated in the same way. In the Pamela's character, we see that he is not able to come out from the social culture, not able social construction. She is not able to face the society. She is afraid of the society. We all can also say that women has locked herself, and the key is also with herself only. If she wants, she can. This can be seen with the example of Pamela climbing the wall. Pamela had a path to climb a wall, but in a one try she gave up. She had a key to climb a wall again and flee away, but she didn't try. It is a difficult task for the women to get out of the socio-cultural construction because it is inherited from long time, from ancient period. It is very difficult to fight against the family and the closed one. Simone de Beauvoir, in his book The Second Sex, has stated that one is not born but rather becomes a woman. This says that women is not born, we are creating a woman. When a male and a female are born, after the age till 5 years, at the age of 5 years, both are brought up in the same way. But as they grow up, they grow their mentality or mindset. Girls are told that sit in this way, walk in this way, do this. If guests are coming, then bring water in tray. All these methods are taught to girls, and girls are molded. Female child is molded to be a woman, while male child is never taught or told how to behave. They are free to behave the way they want. So it is said that women is not born, women is born. Today in 21st century, with the relation of Amrita's character, we can say that today with the 21st century, women are comparatively free than before. But it is not a moment of celebration for the women. Still, a long fight is there. The great female representatives like Virginia Woolf have played a great role. We have got freedom for what Virginia Woolf has fought. But still, there is much to fight. There is much place for the women to come out from the socio-cultural chains and taboos, and they have to fight for themselves and stand for themselves. These are my resources for this presentation, and that's all. Thank you.
Okay, quick questions.
So you said woman is inherited that they have to behave in society. Why can't we teach boys to behave in society?
It can be taught to boys also to behave in society, but it is how feminine it if we see in today's time, it depends on the how the elders of the family are behaving. If the elders are differentiating between the male and the female child, female are uh, they are caged in some rules, and male are not. But if the elders of the family are educated and are considering both the child in the same level, it is possible to teach male also that how they should behave with girls in society.
What is the central theme of Pamela?
The central theme of the Pamela, it is the theme is that how the female is how they are facing the situations in the society, and how they have to come up. There cannot be a greed to be something, and if they are having, they should not lose their self respect for any greed to attain in society.